Help! My kid won't stop looking at the screens. J-Doll Mom here, grown mom with grown kids. And yes, our kids are so enthralled in screens, whether it's a cell phone screen, a tablet, a computer, a laptop, a video game, a television screen, whatever it is, they are just so linked to it. How do we tear them away? Generations ago, they thought TV was a big deal. Too much TV, you're a couch potato. Oh my gosh, if only, if only. These days, if our kids are not playing video games, they're on social media, binge watching something, they're live streaming or watching videos, or oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. It seems that the only thing they're not doing with their smartphones is using it as a phone. Okay, but that's a whole nother story. So the thought of breaking our kids away from screens might be overwhelming and daunting because they fight so hard to keep that time. As parents, it's our job to help them balance their life and to moderate their wants and needs and help them to learn to delay gratification, to use self-control, and to accept no for an answer. This is something they've got to learn because in the real world, you just don't get everything you want. So I will say that prevention is best. So if you've got a small child, you're in a position where you can start setting up your expectations in the beginning, limiting screen time, engaging your kids in other activities that don't involve a screen, and engaging yourself in family and relational activities. Set limits, expectations, and standards for cell phones, screens, and all of these things the same way you would with any other aspect of your child's life. You are framing their life and you're helping them to learn and guiding them through growing up. On the other hand, if it's too late, my kid is already up to here and they will fight me tooth and nail if I try to change anything. So now what? How do I fix it? The steps are quite simple, although they are difficult to carry out, and it takes a whole lot of parental strength, endurance, and perseverance in the face of a kid who really, really wants something. Whew. We know how that is. So first, parents, you need to do some research yourself and determine why is it that you want to cut back on your child's screen time. Look at the research. From a health perspective, there are enough studies out there to fill your brain for a long time because this cell phone use for our kids and screens is just over the top, and we are really hurting our kids with allowing them free range with all of this stuff. So first, get clear yourself. What is a comfortable limit that you feel your child can handle and that you think is best for them? Take into consideration their health and safety, the exposure to whatever they're being exposed to, whether it's age appropriate or not, their responsibilities. Are they able to manage their life responsibilities with their pleasure? How much time are they spending that they're not doing other things that are healthy, being with people, friends, and family? The second step is to do the simple math. There are 24 hours in a day. They need sleep, and subtract out school and or work or responsibilities, whatever kind of activities they may have, hobbies or whatever, and subtract all of that away and see what kind of time do you have left for them to just enjoy entertainment, which is what the screen time is. The American Academy of Pediatrics, as well as other places that tell you some general guidelines for screen time on a daily basis. That might help. I suggest you don't get too rigid about it. Not like 1 hour, 60 minutes, not 61 minutes. I mean, not like that, but just in general, a guideline for them. Hey, why don't you put in the comments below some of the time limits that you've instituted with your kids, like screen time that's you're allowed per day, or things that you've done to help to limit that time with your kids. Once you got that together, you want to sit down with your kids and say, hey, we need to have a talk about how we're going to do things from now on. You may need to apologize for being lax and not putting some of these things in place earlier, but you want to help your child understand this is not a punishment at all. And even if it starts to feel like, why are you taking this from me? They may feel like that because in fact, you are taking something from them if they've had way too much for way too long. So you gotta have a lot of patience and grace with that, but you wanna let them know, these are the health reasons. You may look up some things with them to help them see. Here is gonna be the new standard for our home and our family, and these are what they are. They may have something to say about it. If you have an older child, like a teen, you may talk back and forth a little and come to some sort of a balance. They may give a little bit of their opinion and yours and kind of find a middle ground about that. Once you're in agreement, it's time to implement. The kids are probably not going to want to change. They're not going to want to do that. They might even scream and holler and yell. And if they're addicted to their cell phone, it could even get violent. So I need you to understand that you've got to have patience and grace, and do not just take away everything all at one time, because you're the one who set it up so they can have everything. So for you to come in there and be like, hey, we're changing it, and snatch everything away it wouldn't be good for anybody, to be honest. And it wouldn't be loving, or it wouldn't have any grace involved. So take it slow and easy, and figure out how much are we going to draw back at a time. Maybe even write out a plan of how we're going to draw back so that you can all kind of adjust to this newness. Be understanding of their loss. This is a loss for them, and you've got to be patient, understanding, willing to listen to what they're feeling, and just standing firm even though they feel that way, to help them know, I understand how you're feeling, I'm here to help, and I need to institute these changes for your health. Be on their side. Don't make it like you two are arguing. It's you and your child together trying to make sure they have health and well-being. Not you fighting your kids, so, hey, look, you got to have health and well-being. No, you don't have to do that. You're the parent, and you need to say, look, this is what needs to happen. I'm the parent, I'm held accountable, and this is what I need to do so that you can have your health and well-being. I'm sorry it's this way. We're going to get through this. Be encouraging as you fight this good fight. And don't be wishy-washy. Parents, you cannot go back and forth and just changing it and making it a different rule and just being flaky and wishy-washy all over the place, because that will be helping no one. And in fact, it makes it harder to make the necessary changes. Now, that doesn't mean you can't adjust as you go. We don't all know the answers. And maybe as you're going along, you realize you were a little bit too much on one end or the other, and you need to make some adjustments. That is normal, and that's part of life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to let them know that you are setting the standard for their benefit. Take this, for example. You have a 4-year-old who wants to run and play in the street. He just loves the street. It's just smooth surface, and he wants to play in the street. And you tell him, I'm sorry, son, you cannot play in the street. And he cries and he screams and he throws a fit because he really wants to play in the street. What are you going to say? Oh, now that you've screamed and cried, I guess you can play in the street now. Of course not. You're going to comfort him and love him and try your best to help him understand. And you're going to be patient and full of grace as he cries because he's sad. But in the end, he's still not going to play in the street. So I invite you to use that same type of example for the extended screen use, and to help your children to have a healthful balance in their life from screens versus real life with people, responsibilities, and life happening. Also, make sure you help your child replace the time they once spent on screens with another activity. Don't just leave them hanging there like, hey, you can't use your phone, you can't use your screen, you can't play video games, so just sit there and look at the paint dry. What are they supposed to do? Help them engage in some other activities to replace what they were doing on screen time, whether it be hobbies or things you can do together as a family. Maybe you don't spend much time together either, and you can come up with activities you can do together. Because to be honest, a lot of times our kids are bored and they're on their screens. They can't go anywhere with the pandemic, or they can't be with friends, or maybe they just feel insecure, or they don't want to be with people. Whatever the reason may be, we need to help them engage in some other activity to fill in the space that we're now removing with all of the screen time. We need to help them transition. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, hit the like button, and leave a comment if you're finding this to be really difficult, or if you've done some things that have really, really worked and other parents can try, so that we can, as a community, learn from each other, because moms learn so much from other moms. J. Dawn Mom here, Iggsy.